push it higher, you know, like 6, 7. You see, this is where stuff starts getting crazy. I'm recording. Okay, let's just put on my backpack with my sound recorder and we'll start. Okay guys, so hello to a brand new video. Today a little bit of a different video because I actually am going to talk while I ride. So I finally got around to buying that little microphone that fits into my helmet. So now I can do videos, record my voice while riding my CB650R Honda. So let's fire the baby up. Okay, let's kick it into first and go. So again, welcome to this beautiful Wednesday in Slovenia. And although it is beautiful, the temperatures are around 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, maybe 6. So as you can imagine, I'm freezing on the bike and the grip is pretty much non-existent on these roads. So I guess today we'll do the speed limit, guys. Yeah. And I wanted to record a video today about my experience with starting on the CB650R Honda, the 2024 model. And I know there's been a lot of debate whether or not this bike is a beginner bike. Should you buy it as your first bike ever? Should you get something smaller or bigger? And I just wanted to clear that up because I have seen a lot of comments under my videos asking if I regret my decision. How is it? Was it a good bike? Do I have any regrets and stuff like that? So let's get into that. So I was around 27 years old when I decided that I wanted motorcycles in my life, that I wanted to ride one. And I just, you know, didn't have any prior experience with riding a motorcycle except for like a 50cc scooter like 10-15 years ago, and like a 85 or 80cc Kawasaki dirt bike when I was really little, and that's it. So pretty much no experience, right? But I don't know what popped into my head that I wanted to ride a motorcycle. Maybe it was the cheap performance, I don't know, or the feeling of freedom. But I just decided that I want to do the driver's license and get a bike. So yeah, let's get right here. Oh man, I'm really afraid to kind of do anything wild in the corners because it's just so cold. I signed up for the driver's license, and when I arrived there for my first class after I passed my theory exam, I went there and the driver instructor asked me, hey, do you have like any prior experience with riding a motorcycle? So I said like, no, like I'm completely new to this. So he told me, okay, no worries. And he gave me this old, I think it was 2007, 2008 Kawasaki ER6N. That was like a parallel twin naked bike, and it was restricted to 35 kilowatts, like the A2 version. He told me, just, you know, turn it on, kick it into first, I mean, and do a couple of laps here on the test track where I was, you know, doing the driver's license or learning, let's say. And I did, you know, and I kind of got the hang of it after a few laps. And he said, okay, I think that's enough for now. And he told me, let's go to the garage. And he set me on a bigger bike, and it was actually this same bike, the CB650R Honda, the unrestricted version. And it was just a 2023 model. It was almost like brand new. I was kind of intimidated, to be honest. Like, even though I did well on the Kawasaki, I was like, okay, this bike is de-restricted. Like, who knows what's gonna happen? And like I said, I had no experience whatsoever, and it was really intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. And then I pretty much did the same as on the Kawasaki. I did some laps around the test track, and I think on the second day the guy just told me, let's just let this van pass. Okay. The guy just told me, okay, let's go out into real traffic on the CB650. You know, I was really intimidated. I was like, what, you want me to go into traffic? I barely know how to drive this thing. He said, you'll do fine, you know, don't worry about it. So I said, okay, let's screw it, I'm doing this. And we went, and for the first couple of minutes I was really intimidated, because you perceive everything different on a motorcycle than in a car. Everything sort of seems to happen faster, everything seems closer, you feel exposed, you feel like almost naked when compared to a car. And it was not the best experience. I was experiencing a lot of fear, I guess, you know. But as the minutes went on, as the minutes turned into a full hour, I was actually pretty comfortable already, you know. When I got the hang of the gas and everything, and the clutch and the brakes, and how to step off the bike properly and not let it fall and stuff like that, which thank God never happened, it became manageable. Over the next couple of weeks I was doing the hours of riding with my driving instructor, and then it was time for the exam, the final exam, where I just had to drive for 1 hour with a supervisor, and if the guy decided that I pass, I pass. If not, then I don't pass. So at that time I was really comfortable on the bike, but I still had like some orientation problems and stuff like that, because you just have to kind of, you know, and I was also really nervous on that day when I had to pass it. And I did a stupid mistake, and I didn't really look left on an intersection, and I should have let some cars pass, but I just went in front of them anyway, and I could literally cause an accident. But fortunately other people, other participants in the traffic were conscious enough to not let that happen, and I got really lucky, and of course I failed on that day. And then a month later I did it again, and I passed. So thank God I passed, everything went fine, I pretty much did everything without a problem, and that was it. So that's how I passed my driver's license. And at that point I knew that I want to buy this bike, because it was just like really perfect for me, I thought. I went to a couple of dealerships and I was looking at different bikes, like you know, the naked bikes from KTM, Yamaha MT-07. I was looking also at the BMW F900R, the naked bike, and a bunch of other bikes, but this Honda just really looked amazing to me. I wanted to have it. It had 4 cylinders, it had the sound, you know, and the throttle response and everything that you get from a 4-cylinder, I think is like the best. So I just kind of fell in love with the bike and decided to get it. So I passed my driver's license in October 2023, and I ordered this bike somewhere at the end of November 2023 as well, and then the bike arrived at the end of January 2024. So I didn't drive a bike at all at that time, so I couldn't like build my experience or anything like that. And to be honest, I was, through the winter I was really scared, you know, that, and started to think that, oh, I made a mistake, buying this bike is going to be too much, you know. And I completely understand when you guys ask me in the comments, is this bike too much for me to handle, am I going to be able to handle it as a first bike and stuff like that. Like, I get it, I've been there, and I thought like this bike is way too powerful for me for the beginning. So over the winter I was a little bit anxious about that. And then April came around, like end of April, beginning of May, I think. And I just said, okay, the conditions are pretty much perfect right now. The roads are clean, the temperatures are high. There's a lot of bikers on the street, like I should join them. And I just insured the bike, registered it, and off we go. And I just grew into it, to be honest. I started slowly, you know, I went on roads that I knew had very low traffic all the time, roads that I knew very well, roads that I've been to with my car a bunch of times. And I just took it really easy for the first couple of kilometers. So, and then, you know, the fear, the initial fear that you have sort of starts fading away. You know, you just have to get you just need to get your, you know, confidence up a little bit. Once you can see that you can handle it in first gear, second gear, doing the speed limit, of course, like I am right now, you start to realize that it's not such a big deal, you know. As long as you keep it below 6,000-7,000 RPM, there's like really not much going on. So I'm doing the speed limit now in third at 4,000 RPM, and even if I open up the throttle completely, I mean, yeah, it accelerates, but it's not this face ripping moment where you cannot really control it, right? It's manageable. It's a 4-cylinder, so you won't be really having those issues where you give it too much throttle by accident, and then you sort of slide, crash, whatever you want to call it. And of course, this bike is not really able to wheelie. Like, I've tried all sorts of different gears, all sorts of different throttle inputs, and I never really got the front off the ground. Yeah. And I think the first 1,000 kilometers, I also kept the revs pretty low, below 9,000 RPM, because of the braking period. So if you are smart, you're not going to push the bike in the braking period. And I think the braking period alone is a really good introduction to your bike if you are a beginner. You know, you just kind of take it easy. So once I lost this initial fear after like 1,000, 1,500, maybe even 2,000 kilometers. Oh, there's some students here. Once I lost this initial fear, like, I started to get like a little bit ballsy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I tried to give it some gas, and a couple of times, like, I revved it out in second, third gear like so much I thought it was going to rip my hands off. And I had a few close calls pretty early on because I was kind of stupid. But I think at the end of the day, you know, that's how we learn. That's how we, you know, learn how to ride a motorcycle. And then once you start building up speed, as I started building up speed, you know, going really fast on the straights, you know, eventually you're going to come to a corner, and then you're going to realize how big of a lack of skill you actually have. Once I started getting into the throttle, you know, trying to push this bike for the first time, I immediately realized how bad of a rider I actually am, and that I shouldn't be pushing the bike at all. And then that I should be actually learning how to go into corners properly, how to, you know, brake properly, how to brake early enough, how to shift gears properly. You know, I just realized that I have to learn all of these things before I'm actually going to start to go fast. So I had to sort of discipline myself to stay below 7,000 RPM, where the bike is really docile. No throttle input that you give it at that point is going to be like overwhelming to you. And then I just went on a bunch of rides. Like, I remember riding all the time. When I had some free time, even if it was just like half an hour, you know, 20 minutes, I would go for a ride on the roads that I felt comfortable riding, and I just tried a bunch of different stuff. Like, I tried to rev it out in the second, you know, and then you realize that in the second gear the throttle response in higher RPMs it's like really twitchy, and then maybe you shouldn't do that as a beginner. And then you start riding it in third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, and you gain all of these little experiences every single day. And I think if you are able to discipline yourself and not just like push the bike constantly and keep it below, you know, keep it at reasonable RPMs, I don't think you're going to have problems as a beginner, right? As a complete beginner. So I've done 20,000 kilometers in my first year of riding. Wait, actually now it's going to be 19,800, and it's actually less than full 12 months since I started riding. So a lot of experience with this bike, and it's been mostly good experience. And when I was researching the bikes that I should get, I don't know, I was automatically thinking of getting like a 400 or a 500, just because when you look at internet forums and some YouTube videos and stuff like that, people are always saying like start on like a 300, 400, maybe 500, right? And I was thinking about that, but also I'm pretty tall, so these bikes are really small, and I just wouldn't fit on these bikes. They would be too small, so I had to start looking for something bigger from the get-go, from the start. And the 650 it was, you know. I just picked the 650. I just like said, you know what, screw it, I'm getting this bike. It was intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. It was intimidating to just get a full-blown sports bike. Let's say this thing has 95 horsepower, you know, basically 100, right? Let's call it an even 100. I mean, and although it is all at the top, it's still 100 horsepower, you know what I mean? So should I really get that as my first bike? Like, it didn't sound like that good of an idea, but I did it anyway. And to be honest, I don't regret my decision at all, because after the first couple of 1,000 kilometers, I just started growing into it, you know, and you get more confident. And if you just know how to use your brain, you're going to be fine. In my opinion, you're going to be fine, you know, as long as you don't rev it out with absolutely no experience, you're going to be fine, you know. If you ride it in dry conditions with good tires, if you ride it on the roads that you know, then I also think you will be fine. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that you can start on any bike you want if you just ride it carefully, right? But we always have these moments, like I will probably have right now on this straight, where you feel like, oh, I'm gonna give it some gas, right? And that's where things can get out of hand. I remember when I first opened it up in second gear, you know, I was blown away by the accelerations. I went all the way to 12,000 before I shifted into third, and I just thought like it's going to escape from underneath me. Like I don't have any control over it, and I was so unprepared for it that I barely was able to hold on to the bars. Really, I was barely able to control it. Like I thought I'm gonna lose the control of the bike, you know. So as long as you don't do these things and sort of try gradually to grow into the bike, I think you will have no issues whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, it is a 4-cylinder, this bike, and like, look, I'm gonna do like 90 kilometers per hour in 6th gear, and I'm going to fully open it up. 90, 100, you know. It didn't surprise, it's like manageable. It's really easy to control it. So even if I go down to 5th, do the same thing. You know, the road is cold, my tires are cold. You know, the conditions are pretty bad, and still nothing really happens, you know. So if you start on a bike like that, if you start riding like that, carefully, higher gears, lower RPMs, you know, learning how to counter steer properly, learning how to like brake and stuff like that, you're not gonna have issues. You know, just be smart about it. Don't be like a little child where you're like all giggly and stuff and have to try everything out immediately even though you don't have any experience. Like, really try to discipline yourself, you know. So if you're going to go back on my YouTube channel, you're going to see plenty of POV YouTube videos of me driving this. And if you compare the very first couple of videos to the very last couple of videos, you're going to see how my riding changed and the speed that I'm doing changed, and how I'm going into corners and going out of corners changed. Like at the beginning, I didn't even know how to counter steer, you know, like do this. You know, I didn't know that this is a thing. You know, I just did it on the bicycle before automatically, but on a motorcycle it's that more important because the speeds are higher. And you have to learn all of these things before you start, you know, putting your foot in, or like putting your hand in. You know, but then after a while, once you start getting comfortable with the bike, you can kick it down a gear or two, and you know, start having a little bit more fun in the higher RPMs. So I remember at around 7,000 kilometers of experience, I was able to do some rev matching in the downshifts, right? And at that point, I was kind of getting comfortable with the bike and with the corners a little bit. And that's where I started to ride a bit more risky, let's say, but still not that risky. It's just funny how this bike changes really in character, you know. Like, look, this is 80 kilometers per hour, 5th gear. I open it up completely. I mean, it goes, right? But it's not that much faster than like a car, you know. But if you like kick it down a couple of gears, which I'm gonna do now after the corner, but let me just show you how this engine can be also pretty crazy. So I can kick it now down from 5th gear into 2nd. I mean, you can just like, I mean, I gave it a quarter throttle here. Not even that, because the truck was coming towards me. And it just, you know, it becomes a completely different animal. So if you're a beginner, maybe don't push it higher, you know, like 6, 7, you see this is where stuff starts getting crazy. You know, the throttle gets really twitchy up there. It gets really sensitive. So if you're just starting out, you shouldn't be driving in high RPMs. So basically the bottom line of this video, the point of this video is that yes, you can buy this bike as your first bike, but just be smart about it, please, because you don't want to end up there or there in the ditch. You know, you don't want to end up under somebody's wheels. Just be smart about it, you know. Learn the basics first and then work on that, and then start opening up. And I think it's a good idea to get something that scares you a little bit, because that way you will get some respect for the bike, for the world of motorcycles in general. You know, but if you get like a 250 from the beginning or a 125cc like a lot of people do, like you're just full on gas all the time. And then when you get a bigger bike like a 600 or something like that, you think it's the same, you know, but it's not. Like, you're gonna be so used to giving it full gas that you're gonna be surprised how fast these bikes actually are. So I think this is just like any other bike, in my opinion. Like, I don't really know what to say, guys. All I can really say is be smart about it. You know, when you get this bike, don't push it when you obviously have no experience. Like, of course, you can open it up, you know, go above 100 kilometers per hour, 120, 150, you know. You can do 200 on the highway with this bike, or like over 200 easily, you know. But if you're not gonna have any experience with like cornering and stuff like that, counter steering, how to manage the brakes and stuff, like, you're gonna get yourself into trouble. So I'm not saying don't go fast, but just like wait a bit before you go fast, you know, until you get some experience. And you probably, if you're like me, a little bit impatient, you're going to have a couple of close calls in the beginning that are going to be a very sobering experience. And then you're gonna ease off the throttle a little bit. And yeah, I really remember a couple of times I was like pushing it in 2nd gear, 3rd gear, going really fast. And then a corner came around and I was there like an idiot in the corner, didn't know what to do, just like hitting on the brakes and then like slowly into the corner. I mean, I must have looked like such an idiot. And then you start thinking like, I could have died right there. I was just lucky. And then you start, you know, driving in higher gears, lower RPMs, and just learn how to go into the corner, you know, counter steer a little bit, maybe lean a little bit as well, manage the bike, and be like really conscious and like mindful about the things that you're doing on a motorcycle. Yeah, like, I know plenty of guys right now I met because of my channel. I met a lot of people who started on this bike and they pretty much have the same experience that I have. So yeah, I hope this video clears up some of the questions. I know it's a little bit unstructured. I just decided to like freestyle this whole thing a little bit. If you guys have any other questions, just let me know in the comments. You can also hit me up on Instagram if you want to chat or something, so it's all good. Yeah, and all I can say is just get the damn bike, I guess, if you feel like you can handle it. If not, get something smaller. If you feel like you are better than the rest of us on the CB, then get something stronger, you know, and try your luck with that. But yeah, I don't really have any complaints about this bike as a beginner bike. It's like, you know, it's doable, it's manageable. Of course it is, you know. cool little guy on the moped right there, enduring the cold. So yeah, watch out for the gravel. So I think you can have a very beautiful experience with this bike as your first bike, as long as you are smart about it, responsible, and you really have to be aware of your lack of experience, because if you've never ridden a motorcycle before, and you start getting into the throttle too much, getting into the corners unprepared, you're gonna get into some real trouble. So I think I did almost 8,000, 9,000 kilometers before I even dared to go into the twisties in some mountain roads, you know those little roads with the hairpins and stuff like that, because I was just not comfortable with leaning, and I didn't trust my tires at all. I didn't know what to do in the corners. I was just intimidated all the time of the corners. So I started taking corners like this first and get comfortable with some counter steering and leaning into corners like that. Then your balls kind of grow over time, and now I see it as a challenge to go into the twisties and practice a little bit. And I also I don't know how most of you guys feel about that, but I ride a lot as well in bad conditions, on wet roads sometimes and cold roads like they are today. And I feel like this helped me. I pretty much rode the whole winter. I did a couple of rides in December, and I was riding in January when temperatures were really low, like a lot, And I feel like those were the rides that gave me so much experience, because you just have to be so mindful on the road. It is dirty, the road is dirty as hell. There is no grip, and you have to fight for grip all the time. I remember once I was riding on a road, and I felt it was so cold and wet that I felt my rear tire just slide all over the place, just like that. I wasn't braking, I wasn't accelerating, I was just maintaining the gas. I think I'm gonna turn around here and go home, because I am getting really cold on this beautiful day. So when you're a beginner, just focus on learning the controls first. How to operate the throttle properly, how to operate the clutch properly. I also made a stupid mistake of using the quick shifter too much. And until this day, 20,000 kilometers later, I'm still not that comfortable with shifting up with the clutch. I learned how to downshift and rev match and stuff like that pretty good, I think. But I still have issues with normal upshifting with the clutch. So if you want to be a bit smarter than me, stay away from the quick shifter if you have it on your CB for a while, and then progress into it, because I just started with the quick shifter and I was kind of lazy about learning all of that. So, oh, cool dog, he's fast. Okay guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I don't really know what else to say. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, just shoot it in the comment section, or send me a DM on Instagram. Oh man, my fingers are gonna freeze. Oh, it's so cold. I know it doesn't look like it's cold, but it is one of those days. Plus I have to pee, so okay, I'm gonna slowly head home now. I guess thank you for joining me in today's video. I'm testing this new setup with the microphone where I actually talk. Oh, it is cold. There's actually some snow in the Alps in the background there. In the background there we have Austria, and there's mountains in Austria, a lot of them, and they're all covered in fresh snow as far as I can tell. Oh, kids going home from school. I used to be one of those kids. Okay guys, that's it for today. Let me know how you guys like this sort of content. Maybe I suck at this, so if that's the case, let me know so I avoid making these videos. And until next time, Take care, guys. Ciao, ciao.